Okay, I
Okay.
think we're good.
Okie dokie.
Okay, Mr. Machine, you can take it away.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, and good evening. My name is Tom McSheehy, and I want to welcome you to Lawrence County School District's Parent Academy tonight. We're going to be focused on learning some calming activities that you can do with your children tonight. Before we get started, I just wanted to show you a model of the brain because it will help you to understand the calming activities that I'll be teaching you. So first of all, when you look at the brain, and this is the right side of the brain, what's called the right hemisphere, and that's where a lot of the processing for social and emotional activities for children takes place in the right side of the brain. So right here, the green is called the brain stem. And when we come into the world, young babies have this part of the brain is active, and it's really our survival center that takes care of things like heart rate, breathing, and all the survival sort of health things for our system. And let me just take 1 second for Mr. Finley. I hear some sound. Is that background sound? Is it possible to take care of that? We'll see. Maybe he can't hear. Anyways, wait, give me 1 second, everyone online. We're just trying to work out some sound issues here on this end. Mr. Finley, if you have, there's just a little bit, I'm hearing your background sound right now. There. We'll get this corrected. It's okay as long as it's just a humming in the background, but I can talk through it. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you're talking in the background and things like that. So. Okay, I'll just continue and we'll work on that. Anyways, this is the green brainstem. When we work on these common activities, it's actually going to be helping you to help your child deal. This is so much related to the brainstem to calming activities. So I just wanted to show you that part. And then this is the emotional center of your children, where emotions are generated and where their motivation comes from and the connection to people. So these two really help children to calm these areas of the brain. So let me share my PowerPoint so you can see a visual of what I'm speaking about. And we're just pulling up my screen, and you should be able to see my screen now. So tonight we're going to talk about calming activities and then creating a calming center and routine at home. And really glad you're here tonight. Just to share a little bit, if you haven't been on with me before, a little bit about myself. I taught 21 years as an elementary and middle school teacher, and I've also for 25 years been a social worker and family therapist. I'm a licensed social worker, and I'm just going to put this model back down. So social emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, and manage feelings and sensations, and the ability to calm oneself when upset and stressed. And that's one of the ability we're going to work on tonight. Another ability that's in the realm of social emotional intelligence is the ability to control impulses or delay gratification. The ability to wait for something or set a goal and persevere. The ability to persevere when things get tough or difficult. It's the ability to communicate and relate effectively to others. The ability to express empathy towards others. The ability to work cooperatively with others. And the ability to negotiate and resolve differences in a win-win manner. So we're going to focus on that second bullet point tonight. I just want to share a little bit about the science, a little more about the science of connection, because that will help you understand why doing these calming activities will really affect your child's brain in a healthy way, in their nervous system for their life. Really, it becomes a lifelong habits of how they take care of themselves when they're stressed. If you've been on before, some of these slides will be familiar, but we know so much about the brain. The study of the brain is called neuroscience. And for the last 20 years, there's been a lot of good information coming out about the brain. It's really helping us to understand what happens to children's brains and teenagers' brains in terms of good connection with adults, because it's being shaped and wired and changed in a healthy way through interactions with adults. It's a very exciting time really in the world, because this is, I think, the future of science throughout the world is looking at the brain and the nervous system and how we can help people stay mentally healthy and be productive to their fullest extent in their lives. Even babies were able to map their brains and understand, what's happening in connection to their parents. Healthy connection, and when parents aren't available, what happens to the brain? What happens to the brain of children when they're learning, not only intellectually, but socially and emotionally? Just a little bit about the brain so you understand it from the calming activities we're doing. Again, I showed you this in the model, but here's a side view. There's the brainstem that really we'll be working on tonight, and that's your survival center. And then right above it is called the limbic system or emotional center. And those two areas are so important for helping kids learn to manage those areas. And then, of course, the thinking center of the brain is right in the frontal cortex, the front part of your brain, and all around it helps us to think and do things. But we have to take care of those two bottom areas down below. When kids are stressed or they're feeling big sensations in their body or big emotions, they're going to drop down to those two areas below some of their energy or a lot of their energy. But we want to teach them how to get up to their cortex so they can think and manage their emotional center and survival center. If not, those two areas, those lower areas, are going to run their life in a non-conscious or just reactive way. So I'll just kind of refer to those throughout the evening as the upstairs or downstairs part of the brain. When they're in the downstairs brain, they're not thinking. They're just feeling sensations and emotions. They can't think at that point. It's often when they're really angry or really scared or something big is happening emotionally. A lot of their energy in the downstairs part of the brain. And part of the thing we need to do as adults is connect with them in a way that helps them to regulate, to deal with that energy of the lower parts of the brain or the downstairs part of the brain, so they can get up to the upstairs part of the brain. And that's what the calming activities are going to do tonight, is help kids get up to the upstairs part of their brain where they think and reflect and can make good decisions. So again, the brainstem this is what we're working on right here tonight. And I do want to point out that the brain has 3 languages. I know some people speak English, many other languages in America, but the brain has 3 languages that are universal, regardless of your race or culture. And here are those languages. There's sensations, emotions and memories, images, thoughts, and words. Those are the three languages of the brain, and here's what they go to. The brainstem speaks to you through physical sensations. The limbic system or emotional center speaks to you through emotions and memories. And the frontal cortex, your front forehead, where you think and analyze and reflect, is the front part of the forehead and behind the eyes. That's images, thoughts, and words. So the brainstem will talk to you all day long through your body and sensations. It's giving you information that will help you take care of your body and your brain. Look at some of these adjectives: smooth, itchy, prickly, fluttery, jittery, stuffy, sore, flat, fluffy, scattered, sharp, cool, tense, throbbing, light, empty, twitching, wobbly, bubbly, hot, pounding, queasy, full. Great adjectives. And the more you can help your child develop that vocabulary in yourself to learn to be really in tune with our bodies and what's going on, because there's so much good information. If have grown up in an environment where parents or adults weren't there to help you learn how to regulate your emotions and sensations, you maybe don't know how to be in your body. We often can stay out of our bodies and get very what's called intellectual and thinking and not grounded in our bodies. So, and if you've been through trauma, often you learn to leave your body because it was so uncomfortable to be in your body. So this might take some gentleness and going slowly to learn how to pay attention to your body, but it's really important for helping your child. I mean, to connect with your child, but helping them learn how to be in their bodies and calm themselves. And I want to just speak about the emotions, the other language, the limbic system, just so you're familiar. These are the 6 primary emotions: happy and sad, scared and love, angry and hurt. That's the language of the limbic system. So right here, the brainstem, which is right at your hairline. If you take your hand and put it up against the back of your head and feel where your hairline starts, that's your brainstem, your survival center. And then you just go up above that, you're going to get to the limbic system, more embedded in your head, where the emotional center. And these are the 6 primary emotions to be aware of. So as I said, the brainstem talking through your body, and we're going to pay attention. These are the job of the brainstem, which is very fascinating to see how much it affects our life. And many of us probably don't know much about it. It helps us deal with arousal, which means paying attention and staying focused, and then sleeping and waking. So sleep issues have to do as much with the brainstem as the limbic system. If you take sleep medications, they're affecting the brainstem. It regulates our hunger and when we're satiated, feeling like we're filled up. It deals with hunger. So if you're thinking of dieting or weight loss programs, you got to think of the brainstem. This is the most important. It regulates our breathing, our heart rate, and our temperature. And the organs it deals with is our heart, our lungs, our immune system, which is really important at all times to keep us healthy, and our endocrine system. I want to show you the vagus nerve, which is the biggest nerve in our family, in our body, and it deals with calming our bodies. You can see where it starts right up here around the brainstem, and it goes down. This big nerve is so big, and it's a bundle of nerves, and it goes down through the lungs and through the heart. It's got a tributary right there, and then it goes down to all the organs, but mostly to the gut, which is so important, and it's giving feedback to the brain. So I want you to see that when you're doing these calming activities, you're actually helping the vagus nerve calm the brain and calm the body. Just want to show you the nervous system before we get into these activities, the common activities, because this is so vital. The more I learn about the nervous system, I've been learning for the last 12 years or so, but I recently have learned even more. And it just makes me so aware that everyone in every field of study needs to know about our nervous systems, because our nervous system helps us stay safe. When we feel like there's threat, and a threat could be anything that scares us, a job interview, a test, whatever feels threatening to us can cause us to shut down, to either speed up and get very hyperactive or to shut down and go away. And the more we learn how our nervous system is there to protect us, we can take better care of it. So we can be connected to people and learning and not go away or shut down. This is the beauty of the nervous system. It's just amazing. Our spine there with all the nerves running off, and they all go up to the brain and connect to the brain. And there's a constant conversation between the body and the brain, back and forth. And so much of what we do during the day relates to how our nervous system feels. Do we feel safe so we can open up and connect with people, or we feel threatened and do we need to shut down and or speed up and get kind of in that fight or flight mode? You can imagine your nervous system as the pedals on a car. On the right side is the gas right here, the sympathetic nervous system, which we need to do work. But sometimes we get so focused on action because we're scared or whatever that we live in constant stimulation, which is overwhelming to our nervous system. And we usually crash, or kids crash. And this is the brake on a car, but it's the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us slow down and relax, digest our food. We need an equal balance between those nervous systems. I just need to reference, if there's experts out there on the nervous system, I want to acknowledge that there's actually 3 branches to the nervous system. There's actually 2 branches underneath the parasympathetic nervous system. But for this evening, I don't want to get into that. I want to make it simple here, that one speeds you up and one slows you down, and we need both in order for a balanced life. And much of society is living in that stimulated, fast, overwhelming part of life with social media and all the things we need to do, that we don't take enough time to slow down and rest, especially at work or school. It's a lot like this. We have the sympathetic, which is like a jackrabbit, speeds us up, and we have the tortoise, which slows us down. And again, we need both. And this is what it looks like in terms of a balancing act. Sympathetic speeds the body up, fight, or freeze response, your stress response or survival. And then on the other side, we want to create balance, right? With slowing the body down and relaxing. And that's what we'll be doing tonight, the parasympathetic nervous system. Babies, children, and teenagers learn how to calm themselves through connection with adults. So everything I'm teaching you tonight, I'd like you to do with your children, because it's that interaction with you that helps them to not only practice these skills, but where they become part of their nervous system and brain. And when you practice them enough, they'll become habits that when they're stressed, they can fall back on these tools to calm their nervous system so they can stay engaged with people and not have to shut down to protect themselves. If you look at this little girl, a picture I've shown before, if you look at her eyes and her facial expressions, you can see that, at least from my perspective, that she's feeling sad. We don't even know if we talk to her, but it sure looks like she's feeling sad. And again, how we connect with her, or how you, if you were her parent, connect with her at home, is going to help her learn how to manage that sadness. For her, it's a bit overwhelming because her brain is still developing. She needs help to learn how to deal with her strong feelings and how to calm her nervous system. And again, she's going to learn that from you. Now, if you didn't learn that as a child and it's still something you learned, that's okay. It's just important to know that, be gentle on yourself, and to tell her or your children you're working with them to learn these skills. And this is sort of the interaction tonight, that hopefully you can connect with your children, where you practice these calming activities and help them deal with intense feelings or whatever they are, anger or fear or hurt or sadness. So the choice is, sometimes moving helps us calm down. Like taking a walk each day actually calms my nervous system for me. But there's other times that actually breathing and closing my eyes is good for my nervous system. It depends what's best. Either slowing down or moving can have the effect of calming. It's not just calming activities or slowing down activities that are common. These are the 6 ways to calm the brain and nervous system and to balance the nervous system. One thing I want to say is, for any of the parents in Lawrence County School District, they've been using my In Focus curriculum, and the teachers use it in the classroom to help teach the students these skills. But you as a parent at home have access to the In Focus online resources, which gives you a lesson each day that will help you know what the teacher is teaching in class, and then give you a quick activity that you can do at home to reinforce those skills. I got an email today from Dr. Brink that a parent tried to get online and they said they couldn't. So my publisher, the publisher of In Focus, added more seats, or there's availability now. You should be able to get on and access those online resources, and you can get them if you contact your school. The principals should have the information to help you get online, and that's really important. Anything I'm sharing tonight will be in the online resources, all these common activities. So the first way that the students are learning, and an important way to calm our nervous system, is belly breathing. The second one we'll go over tonight is heart meditation. Mindfulness is a third technique. Body sensations, body pressure, and the progressive body relaxation. We're going to practice all these tonight. First of all, with belly breathing, often when kids are scared, or any of us scared, we hold our breath. And for kids who have been through a lot of upsetting things early in life, they naturally sort of brace. They tighten their body and they brace, and they hold their breath more than having a soft belly where they can get a full breath. And by putting a little stuffed animal on, you're trying to teach them to breathe so deeply into the lungs that it pushes down that muscle called the diaphragm. It divides the belly from the lungs. When you breathe in and fill up your lungs like filling up balloons, you push down the diaphragm and your belly goes out. That's why it's called belly breathing. And helping kids learn to get that deep breath and make that animal go up and down will help them learn how to do this. It's a good example of a child doing some belly breathing. Doing this as a family at night before you go to bed would be wonderful. Or do a 1 minute belly breathing before you eat at night would be nice. In the car as you're driving to school, if you're sort of overwhelmed or the kids are scared, just to take some deep belly breaths together. When you do these calming activities together with other people, it seems to have a synergistic. It adds a powerful effect that everyone feels more of the calmness together, because human connection is so important for calming our nervous system. Just being with people is a calming activity on our nervous system. And then when people really are connected to us, or listening to our feelings and paying attention to our facial expressions in our bodies and trying to connect in a way that's calming and nourishing, that really affects our nervous system. So try to plan out some times that you can carve out a minute or 2 or 5 to do these activities. This is how I like to do it. To connect my heart and my gut together with my hands helps me. And so let's try this right now. This is what is online and in online resources. So students, this is actually the student part. They can pull up on their phones at home to review what they learned in school. So the steps are, how do you feel right now? So just take a scan of your body. And I notice for me, my stomach's always a little tight. It's hard for me to totally relax when I'm presenting. So there's a little tension in my belly. Just notice where you feel any tension or what's going on in your bodies right now without a judgment. Just notice. And then place one hand on your belly and slowly breathe in through your nose and let your belly blow up like a balloon, obviously. You really want to breathe deeply into your lungs so your belly goes out. And now breathe slowly out through your mouth. When you exhale, so you want to inhale, I inhale for 2 to 3 to 4 seconds, and then I exhale for twice as long. So if you inhale for 3 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds. That slow exhaling is going to slow your nervous system and calm you. So right now, why don't you just take 3 rounds of belly breaths, meaning you're going to breathe in through your nose through 2 to 3 to 4 seconds, and then out for twice as long, and then do another one round and another one, and then just come back when you're done and try to pay attention to how your body's feeling after you do it, okay? The last bullet point there says, now how do you feel now? Try belly breathing whenever you're anxious or worried. And again, it's a great thing to do with your child in the car or anywhere you're going. Just little moments of this. This is another style. There's a lot of styles of breathing, depending on whether you want to stimulate yourself, get more energy, or calm yourself. This is called balancing the nervous system. Again, this is online under the parent and student resources. It says, how do you feel? Breathe in through your nose, and it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be 1, 2, 3 if 5 seconds is too long. And then breathe out through your mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to pause, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter how long. You just want to do a consistent time of breathing in, breathing out, and pausing, whether that's 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 seconds. And then notice how you're feeling. So this is how it looks. I'm going to breathe in for probably about 3 seconds. I'm going to breathe out for about 3, and then I'm going to pause for about 3 seconds. And that whole dynamic, this style of breathing sort of balances the nervous system between the sympathetic nervous system, which speeds you up, and the parasympathetic, which slows you down. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 different breaths of this, and I invite you to do the same, and then come back to me, okay? So I invite you to come back. How do you feel now? Just again, notice how that affected you, if at all. If you did it longer, it probably would have more effect. If you want to, last bullet point, if you want to feel calmer and to balance your nervous system, do the exercise 3 more times. So that's something to do in the future. Let's go to the heart meditation. Whoops. I'm going to just show you this clip of how police are using. There's some technology from a company called Heart Math in California that uses this principle. And I will show you this short clip of 4 minutes or so to show you a bit about the heart meditation. Whoops, I'm going to go back one more time. I apologize. If you do not hear the sound in this, if you could in the chat line say you can't hear this sound, and Mr. Finley is going to send me a note that you can't hear this sound. So the next clip I won't play, okay? Actually, I'll just play a short amount and just tell me. Will you send a text somebody on and just tell Mr. Finley, who's monitoring the chat for me, if you can hear this, okay? Because I want to be sure that you can. And I will try to look at the chat right now to see if I have a message in there. Because I want to be sure these clips are showing to you. Oops, I don't know if I'll be able to see the chat line right now. For some reason, I don't see it. So let me just skip. I'm not sure. Let me just play. Let me just go up to I won't mess with this. I'm going to pass by. We don't need the clips, really. Another night we'll share. I want to go on to the next one. So the student reflection, this is another skill, focusing on the heart to calm the emotional brain. Um, really, and I'll just tell you what the clip was showing the technology they use you can buy, which you can hook up to your finger so you can monitor your heart rhythm while you're doing the breathing and focusing on your heart. And it was showing how police in California were using this technique with the technology in their cars to calm their nervous system when they're stressed. So it's cool, this principle. I will say that the heart has 40,000 neurons in it. So it's a thinking organ. And by focusing on the heart, you actually have the ability to calm the limbic and brainstem and slow those parts of the brain down through focusing on the heart. That's the science behind it. Now let's focus on doing it. First of all, you just want to pay attention to whom do you love, or where do you love to be, or what do you love? You're going to pick one of those, a person that you love, a place that you love, or something that you love. And then you're going to place one hand on your heart and the other hand on your belly, and you're going to breathe deeply and close your eyes. And you're going to think about whom or what you love. So if it's a person, you focus on that person and love you have, or if it's a place, or if it's an animal. And then you continue to focus on that place or person or thing that you love, and keep breathing and focus on your heart. And we're only going to do it for a minute, not 2 minutes. And this will see how this affects you. So I'll go over it one more time. Hand on the heart and one on the belly. Bring to mind, for me right now, like I'm just thinking about my dog who I love, and I'm going to focus on Charlie. And because he's so loving, he's calming to my nervous system. And I'm going to keep my attention on my heart here, really focus on my heart, almost feel like I'm breathing through my heart. I'm going to keep breathing and focusing on Charlie, and just keep trying to sink deeper into my heart space. Okay. And we'll just do this maybe for 30 seconds. Let's just get a little snippet of how it feels. So go ahead and do it. Okay. When you're ready, you can bring your attention back. Okay. So this is the second strategy. We're going to move on to the third strategy. And maybe you've heard a lot about mindfulness or meditation. Not everyone is able to sit and meditate in a traditional way, but you can always be mindful. Even when you walk, you can have a mindfulness quality to it. So it's just what mindfulness is paying attention on purpose. So purposely paying attention to something. And anytime you pay attention to one thing, which isn't easy for the brain, it tends to slow down the nervous system. Um, it's hard for, we juggle a lot in our brain, but it affects our nervous system and our brain. So here's the calming the brain through mindfulness. So this one for the students online, it says, look at this beautiful picture. Imagine yourself on a boat floating peacefully in that warm place. Or you can imagine anywhere that's comfortable for you, if it's someplace to be in that place, or if it's near water, to imagine floating on water. If that's comfortable, but don't if not. And breathe slowly in through your nose and breathe slowly out through your mouth. And just keep for a second, maybe stare at that image or hold an image in your brain that you love to be at. And just breathe and imagine you're there, and feel that sense of paying attention fully to that place and being there if you can in your imagination. You can also very much be mindful by savoring each moment during the day, from taking a strawberry. Sometimes I'll take a piece of chocolate and sit down and close my eyes and really enjoy the chocolate fully. Because when I am doing something else and eating chocolate, I almost finish the piece of chocolate and realize, wow, I didn't even enjoy that. That's because I'm trying to do too many things at once. So today or tonight when you're eating, just really close your eyes, and you can do this with your children to really see if they could savor it and taste the food in their mouth and notice it and see if they could describe it out loud. Play a game where you're describing the qualities of the food, really savoring it. Let's go to the third way. And by the way, mindfulness again, when you're walking outside, you can just pay attention to how your feet are hitting the ground and stay focused on that, or focus on what it feels like with the wind on your skin. But this idea of focusing on just one thing is the key. Now we're going to focus on body sensations. This is the exercise, calming the brain by focusing on the body. This one goes this way. How do you feel right now? Again, just tune in. And then we're going to focus on your body. What are you feeling? Note where you feel pressure, warmth, or position. You could feel what it feels like to sit in your chair, or what's going on in your body, or sensations. But this idea of tuning into the body, again, for not everyone, this won't be comfortable, but for some, it actually is calming. And sometimes with people in a group, I will have them go around and just describe one sensation or feeling. And there's something about a group, and you could do this with a family around a table, that when you're noticing sensations or body sensations and just closing your eyes and going around, it can have a calming effect on the nervous system. This says, continue to focus on your body. What else are you feeling? Spend a full minute focusing on the body. We'll spend about 15 or 20 seconds. I just want you to close your eyes. And that's really important if it's comfortable to you, because light and everything outside our eyes stimulates our nervous system. So close your eyes. I'd like to bring my attention to my body, and by putting my hand on my heart and one on the belly. And just notice what your body is saying if you can. And just tune into it and see if you can be curious, not judgmental, like, wow, there's something going on in my heart or my belly, or my right leg feels kind of, feeling some cold sensations. And just notice your body right now. And keep breathing. Always use your breath. And again, just notice how you're feeling. This is something you can do longer. These are short versions of it. I love the pictures on your way. I'm showing this the same one from a different age book. I just love the picture of this kid. She's definitely looking like it's being quiet in her brain is helping her, enjoying it. So the next way is body pressure, which is, for me, really helps me sometimes to have pressure put on my body. It just slows. And this concept works with something called thunder shirts with dogs. Dogs who are highly anxious, you can buy these things called thunder shirts that you could put on them. It puts gentle pressure on their bodies and helps slow down their nervous system and their limbic system, that emotional center of their brains. So they're not, and helps their brainstem deal with their overload. It definitely, I've heard, works. I haven't used one for a dog. This is a weighted blanket. They're often used for kids who have sensory issues, or how highly sensitive kids, but it can work for anyone who needs pressure on the body. Same concept as when you hold a baby. You put gentle pressure in your arms with them, and that helps them feel secure and slows their nervous system and helps them regulate. They have these things called Hug Sleep that I actually bought one, and I use it sometimes to rest during the day if I need 10 minutes to slow my nervous system. It puts gentle pressure on the body. Same thing, same concept of slowing the body, slowing the brainstem and limbic system so you can feel more regulated and less overwhelmed. And I won't play this clip. That was just a clip of Temple Grandin, who has autism. She's actually a high functioning autism, talking about how there's a pressure machine she uses with children with autism that comes down and puts gentle pressure on their body and helps them slow their nervous system. This can be done at home with a child with just pillows, where you're putting gentle pressure, or with your hands gently on the back, and they sit on their bellies, lay on their bellies, and put gentle pressure on their back. It can be really comforting. Let's try this ourselves here, the exercise. It says, how do you feel right now? Kind of go inward. Put one hand on your opposite arm. So I'm going to take my right hand and putting it on my left arm, above the elbow. Gently press down and hold. So gently kind of push down on your arm, and just gently go up and down, putting pressure on it. And then you can kind of go to take your other hand and put it on the right arm, your left hand, and just go up and down. Then it says repeat with your other hand on your other arm. How do you feel now? Apply pressure to your legs or shoulders or head. Doesn't matter. I often like to put one hand on the front of my forehead and one hand on the back of my head. I don't know if you can see me along with the picture, maybe not, but I'm just curious right now if you're not able to see any of me. I thought you maybe could see a little box of me with my screen of my PowerPoint. Hopefully you can. If not, hopefully the description's enough during this evening, because I wasn't thinking that. I put pressure on the front of my forehead and on the back sometimes, and it just feels comforting, especially if I rub my hands together and make them warm. It just brings some calmness to my skull, and helps just slow me down a little bit. But that kind of pressure, you can also give yourself a hug, a butterfly hug like that. So let's do the last one, which is pretty straightforward. It's kind of a nice one in that it's calming the brain through progressive relaxation. So how do you feel right now? Again, we're going to curl and tighten different parts of the body, starting at our toes and working up to our head. The concept is when you consciously tighten parts of the body and then release it, it helps you become very conscious of how much tension you hold in your bodies. We all hold a lot of tension. And when you consciously tighten the body and then release it and breathe, it helps you to release some of that stored tension. So let's do it right now. So you're going to want to do the best of your ability, if you have shoes on, to try to curl your toes and hold them tight. We're going to hold them for 7 seconds. So you ready? We're going to curl our toes and hold them tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. Breathe in. And exhale. Now flex your legs. Kind of try to tighten your legs. It's a little hard. You might have to do your toes at the same time. At least I do. So I'm going to curl my toes and try to tighten my legs a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax the tension. Breathe in and out. Now we're going to tighten our stomach, which you can do in chest. You ready? We're going to tighten that. Tighten it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. Breathe in and out. Now we're going to tighten our hands and our arms. We're going to make a fist and tighten them as hard as we can, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relax. Breathe in. Out. Now we're going to tighten our neck and our head, which is what a lot of us do throughout the day, but we're going to exaggerate it. You ready? We're going to, for 7 seconds. Let me tighten mine. It's a little hard to do both at the same time. I'm going to scrunch up my shoulders, tighten my face, and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and relax. And breathe in. And out. Now, they don't have this here, but I usually do this, is I'm going to tighten everything at once. So we're going to tighten our toes up to our head for 7 seconds. You ready? I'm going to try to get ready to do it all. Get my toes tight and then go all the way up my body. Tighten my hands, my chest, my stomach. Now my head. Close my eyes. You ready? Tighten everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let it go. In out. Now shake your hands a lot. This is a great technique my mom taught me a long time ago before football games as a little boy, to shake my hands, shaking it out. Shaking is what animals do when they go through something traumatic. Okay, so we covered everything. There is one in the kindergarten and second grade book called The Body Scan, and I'm just going to quickly show you it. It's really very similar to everything. Taking the belly, I'll just go through it really quickly. Take a belly breath and focus on your feet. What color shows how they feel? So you kind of go through parts of the body and how have your children identify a color. And this might be very appealing to some kids, and you can actually draw a picture on the paper and have them tell you what colors in different parts. It'd be really fun, actually. So the other thing I want to talk about is setting up a calming center. This probably works best for younger children and elementary school children. I don't know about middle school and high school, really. But to have a little table with a couple chairs or somewhere in a area of the house, if you have a house or have the luxury of having like a basement, but to have an area where you could set a table and put things on it, that it could be an area. And if you have little partitions you can make to create a more area where kids and you could go with your child and just do some artwork or move things and twist things. And these are suggestions on the Calming Center. You could have fidget tools, and these are fidget tools. I bought, these are on Amazon. They're different things you can twist and play with. Clay works well, but the workout feelings and the twist things and move energy is really helpful for kids, or while they're doing homework, to have a fidget tool, something that helps them concentrate while they're learning. As a little boy, I naturally twisted my hair in my socks as I was studying to try to focus. But it would have been cool for me to learn how to use a tool like this. But you can buy fidget tools at Amazon if you go online. And then drawing paper and crayons, books that have a calming, have some type of message about, or just something to read while they're there. And essential oils like lavender is an oil you can put in a diffuser in that room that's very calming. You could put it on a paper towel and just smell it. Calming music you could put at the center. Journal just to write, is really, those things are important. But to make a place where a child could kind of go away from the world, maybe could be a place where they could curl up with pillows, and calm music. But this idea of really honoring that we need to calm ourselves, and we have a center, or I'll go there with you to calm, might be nice. I want to teach you something about the brain. Bilateral stimulation of the two sides of the brain. As I told you, you have two sides to your brain, the right hemisphere and the left. And science has been learning that when we do things on one side of our body, it affects the other side of the brain. And so we can integrate, go back, the two sides of the brain talk to each other through a big structure called the corpus callosum. It's a thing that connects the right and left hemispheres. And the more we can go back and forth between the two hemispheres, it helps us to deal with things in life. Actually, when we dream at night, our brain naturally goes back and forth between the two hemispheres. That's why your eyes flutter back and forth, right, left, right, left. It's going right hemisphere, left hemisphere. So any way that you can stimulate the right and left hemispheres, and I'll show you in a second, because these are a job of the right hemisphere here to help you deal with your emotions and control your impulses and soothe yourself, pay attention, connect to people or attach to them. It's very unconscious, this side. This is where our dream state happens. It's all nonverbal colors and imagery. And it's where we have empathy. So this side of our brain is the side for social emotional learning. So by going back and forth between bilateral stimulation is rhythmic alternation of stimulation between the left and right hemispheres. So right, left, right, left. And you do this by walking and talking. Walking stimulates right, left. When you right, left foot. So talking and walking with the child, great way to sort of pull the brain together and ground it and pull it together. Nature is one of my favorite ways. Walking in nature is so soothing to my nervous system and helps my brain. I learned how to juggle in college. And again, juggling stimulates the right and left hemispheres. And it's easier than you think to learn. And it's great for helping kids develop their eye-hand coordination, but it also helps with focusing and learning. And for older people, actually, they think it prevents Alzheimer's. Bilateral tapping, which means you take your right hand and put it on your left shoulder, and your left hand and put it on your right shoulder. And right now, if you can't see me, I sort of am doing a hug. And I'm just doing right, left, right, left. I'm tapping my left shoulder and then tapping my right shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder. And it's just sort of what they call the butterfly hug. But by tapping on the right and left, it's stimulating the right and left side. And I'll tell you why that's important in a second. Brain gym is an activity that stimulates the right and left side. I'll show you a graphic of this in a second. And in sleep, we naturally do this in our sleep. Movement's so important for some to calm their nervous system. Again, juggling is a great way to focus the brain, but pull the two sides of the brain together, and it can have a calming effect on the nervous system. This is brain gym. Anytime that you connect one side of the body to the other side, the left elbow to the right knee, and the right elbow to, the right elbow to the left knee, the left elbow to the right knee, and back and forth, just touching different parts of the body while you're moving. You could put on music and do all the different ways you could touch one side of the body to the other. It's connecting the two sides of the brain, which again helps with focus. And when kids are more focused, they tend to have a more calm nervous system. It's just how focus works. When your nervous system is calm, you can focus on people or academics. Walking and talking with your child. I can't tell you how important nature is for calming the nervous system. It just, oh my goodness, for all of us, and many are unfamiliar, but if you could walk and take a weekend walk through the nature with your child and talk, it's wonderful for calming the nervous system. They actually have a book called The Last Child in the Woods that talks about how a lot of kids are diagnosed with attention deficit disorder when they're just, the reason they're so hyperactive is they don't have enough chances to be out playing in nature or playing in general. But nature, in the old days, kids played in nature all the time, and they had much less incidences of attention deficit disorder. It's partly because kids are overwhelmed and don't move as much, and there's too much stimulation through technology these days. One of the great ways to help calm nervous system is just play and catch with a child, whether it's a baseball or a football or a frisbee. So it's rhythmic, it's connected, it's calming. And of course, yoga is so important for helping calm the nervous system. And it's just wonderful if you can set a routine once in a while to do some stretches with your child and breathe. It's so good. And so good for kids who have been through trauma. Because when you're stretching and holding a stretch, it takes you out of that fight or flight and you're focusing on your body. And doing this together as a family would be wonderful, wonderful. So the other thing that's powerful is the focus on moments of strength or pleasure or joy. Our brains are naturally wired to focus on when we do things wrong because our brains want us to learn from our mistakes. So, it happened, many thousands and millions of years ago when our brains were evolving, we wanted to survive in nature as human beings. Our brains evolved to focus on weakness. So we didn't make the same mistake, which could cost us our life back in old times when the brain was evolving. Well, we don't have circumstances like that, or even though there is a lot of threat in society. But when you focus on moments of strength in your life, or pleasure or joy, and then do tapping, the bilateral tapping, where you take your right hand and put it on your left shoulder, and your left hand and put it on your right shoulder, and tap 1, 2, 3, and close your eyes and focus on a moment you were doing something well, or a pleasurable moment or joyful. It intensifies that experience and helps your body remember it and even go back to that state, which can bring some pleasure and calmness to the body. This is what a butterfly looks like. And so the bilateral tapping while you're focusing on some pleasurable time or joyful time, or a time when you felt especially strong in your childhood. If they're having trouble with feeling confident, you could go back to a time they were feeling confident and do that tapping, right, left, right, left. And that's going to help integrate that or pull it into the brain and strengthen that memory into their brain, and will bring calmness to the nervous system. What's most important tonight that I've talked about? To set up a calming routine and time. Maybe it's before dinner that you do these calming activities, or after dinner, before you start homework, or before bed, or when you get up in the morning at breakfast, or both times, or in the car. And to find a time, but I wouldn't, like all of us, if we don't make a schedule and put it in our schedule, we'll probably forget or backburner it. So really set up a time, because if you work on these skills with your child, they will become habits that they will carry for the rest of their life, that when they're stressed, they know they go back. They just naturally have wired in their brain, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they'll have all these tools to calm themselves, so they won't have to turn to things like alcohol if they don't want to, or other things, in unhealthy ways, to regulate their nervous system or calm themselves down. If we learn healthy ways early in life, then we will have those all our life, and we won't have to choose unhealthy ways later in life to cope. Do a common technique in the car, before homework, before bed, walking. Try to set up technology-free times during the day, whether maybe it's 20 minutes at night or a half hour, and do something fun or a calming activity, but to turn off technology for a little while, because to give your nervous system a break, it's really tough on our nervous systems when we're trying to keep up with social media. It just always is stimulating. We never get the chance to relax and digest. And it's tough on kids, because again, their brains are young and they're trying to learn how to regulate their emotions and sensations, and they need help through adults. And technology doesn't do a good job regulating emotion. It's a diversion, it's a distraction, but it's not always nourishing. It's like eating a cupcake versus eating an apple. Cupcake will fill you up, but it's not nourishing. An apple will nourish you more. And that's the same thing with these common activities versus technology. They say that dinner as a family has an extremely important effect on keeping the family close and mental health. But eating dinner together and having conversation, turning off your cell phones and TVs and just talking, and maybe doing a breathing activity before or after dinner. During movies or TV shows, especially if they're stimulating or scary, to pause them and reflect on the body and just notice if their heart's racing or if their stomach's tight, and doing a calming activity during the middle of the TV show and then starting it up again would be a great self-reflection tool, and a great tool to use how to practice these skills in real life. So, and again, for you to reflect as a parent, and how do you calm yourself, and not to criticize yourself, just to be reflective, because maybe you didn't learn these things, and this will be good for both you and your child to learn together. And then, of course, to get some calming activities, to practice all of them, I would go online to get access to the InFocus resources by getting the code from the principal at your child's school, and start following these tools. Now, many of the tools were done in the first part one of the book, so you might have to go back to learn some of these, because many of the schools are in part 2 of InFocus. But to learn the common techniques and learn some moving ones, and get a few that you really work for you to set into your routine, whether it's walking after dinner and breathing, or doing a breathing exercise before bed, but really to set this up and put it on your calendar to make it a habit. Just want to share this last technique, in ending tonight. My dad, it was a tough event, but when I was 13, my dad died of leukemia, and he didn't say goodbye. I think it was too hard for him to face his death. But for me as a 13-year-old, it was hard to heal from it. And I used a lot of the challenges that came from his death and what didn't go well to, I try to teach other people in my work how to do these things, how to connect with their child in a way that really nourishes them and teaches them skills. But one of the activities that came out of the pain of my dad's death and him not saying goodbye was this idea really came to me, and I share it with parents. And it is my most powerful parenting idea. And I share it many times when I present to parents, because I never know who's going to be on it. But this is the idea: is to buy a spiral notebook for each of your children and put them somewhere near your bed or where you'll get to it before you go to sleep at night, and to write 1 or 2 sentences at night or on the nights that you can remember something from that day. And these are the things to focus on. In the area of SEL, that's social emotional learning, it stands for, that your child displayed. It could be empathy during the day, or a random act of kindness they did for someone else, or when they faced a fear, or calming themselves when feeling intense emotion, or they working out a conflict with one of their siblings or with you in a good way, in a healthy way, not just a reactive, arguing, yelling way. Persevering when something is difficult, being honest with you or at school, befriending a child who's lonely, sharing feelings with you, hard ones like anger or sadness, and talking about it, being a team player, dealing with a disappointing victory, all these things. And just note that, saying, don't make a judgment or evaluation. Just say, at school today, you were really kind to a friend who was lonely, and just write it and date it and then do that. And then, give the notebooks to your children on their birthday. And if you feel moved to record your voice reading them one of the years, because then they have this notebook full of ways that they displayed resilience or goodness or kindness to other people and exemplified social emotional learning. And it helps them remember, because kids are like adults, that they often forget their strength when they're challenged, or they forget all the good things they do and they think of the negative things about themselves. And it really takes practice to keep refocusing on our goodness and our strength. And the notebook can be used by your child when they're feeling down or discouraged. And your voice reading there they can have it a lifetime, where they always remember your voice and what you saw and how you saw their strength and their goodness. And that, I think, a notebook, I would love to have a notebook for my dad. And I just think it could be such a powerful tool to build mental health, to reinforce social emotional learning, and bring some calmness to the nervous system. Because whenever we feel in touch with our strength and our goodness, I think it calms our nervous system. So if for some reason you want to contact me, you can reach me at tom@teachingheartinstitute.com, or you can find me at teachingheartinstitute.com. And if there's some way I could be of support, of course, reach out to me. And if not, please, be sure to get online at the In Focus resources. And I'll stop my screen share here and just come back so you can see my face. And I'll stop presenting. So I hope that some of the things I shared tonight, you'll give a try at home and practice, and make some routine of helping your child learn how to calm themselves. And you can practice yourself part of your routine every day, because with the pandemic, and there's so much stress in our own lives and in our children's lives, that we really need to be intentional about this, to give them the tools to help them cope, not only cope, but to thrive in this challenging world. So I thank you for joining me tonight. I hope something I shared makes a positive difference, and I'll be back next month with another Parent Academy. And until then, be well, and I hope things go well for you, and keep working on social emotional learning with your child. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. Is it okay? It's a good time